Welcome back to the podcast. Tori Ellis is here, and she is a new mom. She's a serial entrepreneur, and she's a doctor of human and organizational psych. And she has experience navigating that balance between home and work. And she has all sorts of insights about professional development with a hands-on transformational approach. Her website is thesoundofbusiness.org, and her excellent book is called The Sound of Business: Seeing Entrepreneurship Through Hip-Hop. So, Tori, glad to be speaking with you.
It's awesome to be speaking with you too. How are you today?
I am fantastic, and I'm always having to consciously remind myself to be present, to be focused, to shut down the distractions, and to consciously and manually kind of apply a little bit of optimism and positivity, so that way I kind of get those good habits ingrained, those good paths forged. That way I'm excited about everything I do, and that's where I'm at to answer your question. So how the heck are you?
I'm good, managing the mom and the work life. My daughter's in the other room right now. I'm hoping she goes to sleep, but it doesn't come interrupt the meeting really quickly. But I mean, I'm here and I'm getting things done, and I'm happy to be on this call with you today.
Well, you mentioned being a new parent, and I have a 3-year-old son, and I noticed that as soon as my son was born, or maybe like that first kind of newborn phase, I found I took myself less seriously. And say my son, if say he's at school right now, but if he jumped in and came in and made noise, the old me would have thought oh no, the interview's ruined and what a mistake. But the new me, I just go with it. And so is there anything along those lines? Has your thinking changed at all since having a kid?
Of course. I mean, I have a 2-year-old, so
Okay.
they talk about those terrible twos. I didn't claim those. I said the terrific twos, but I mean, my mind has definitely shifted a lot. It shifted to help, support her and be present for her, but then also definitely be present for myself. The self-care you need during this time, especially because you have that balance and you have to pour into them just as much, the energy, the time, the love. So you have to give that stuff to you, that same stuff to yourself as well. And I've definitely had to work on that for sure.
It's like before the child years, then maybe some things could slip through the cracks, but then now it's serious time, right? Like you're developing, you're shaping a child's life or multiple kids, and then it's like there's that whole idea of you want to do the best for them and provide for them. So now it's time to get serious in business and your legacy and what you're building. But there's also that self-care you mentioned where you can't pour from an empty cup. So there's this kind of new factors at play. And so as far as that relates to your business and what you're doing for your livelihood and making money and helping people, tell us about that. What's going on as far as being you're a life and business coach, you have TSOB consulting. So tell us about just what you're doing to make money and help people.
Well, one of the main things that I do is, as you know, coaching. And I feel like my niche has definitely come into coaching the mom behind the business. So definitely, showcasing that, yeah, it is okay to still have that balance of the both, but then also to make sure that you are doing what you got to do for yourself, for your business to help it grow. So you can definitely help your kids grow and pour into them the same way that you want to pour into every person that you are helping during this time. So my main source of income and my main focus is definitely the coaching. And then I do have youth programs. So I'm giving back to the youth as well and the parents in that same aspect, and just providing them with some tools and information that they can use to sustain themselves, sustain their household, and also to literally just, sustain their everyday.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
exciting. And so what kind of tools?
Well, some of the tools we talk about is like mindfulness, meditation, definitely that self-care that we spoke about in the beginning. Also, too, we teach them about like urban gardening so they can do that sustainable gardening at home and incorporate that with their kids and also incorporate that with their family to make sure that they have those tools, but definitely the financial part as well. So we do financial literacy and we do entrepreneurship because financial literacy is a very, very key thing. Not too many people had those tools coming up to know hey, I have to do and manage or invest or put my money here so my money's working for me. And money's a tool. You don't want it to feel like you're a slave to it and you can't have access to it and you're always pouring it into something and it's not working for you. So giving them all that insight so that way they are able to balance for sure.
And you hear a lot how this whole idea of financial literacy, it's not taught in schools. And like in some ways, I understand why, because it's kind of like an opinionated topic and there's a lot of like emotion attached. And even when you look up, like, do I listen to like Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki or someone like that? It's like there's like four or five sort of paths, and it's like you choose your
Hmm.
path, and there's these kind of rules and opinions attached to it. So I can sort of understand why schools can't really teach it very well, because if they did, you'd have to be like careful about what you say and not be too aggressive on like kind of this topic about money. And so what is sort of your money mindset? Like what's your opinion on money? You have specific like rules or do's and don'ts? Just what's Miss Tori Ellis's kind of thoughts on money?
Well, I'd like to infuse the money with the mindfulness. So, how are you being mindful with money? Being aware of how you're using it. So, are you coming from a place of, being really insecure, like insecure with it? Are you being in a state of wanting to do fast money and put yourself in these really, really crazy, outrageous things to get money quickly? Or are you kind of just keeping it to yourself and not saving or not taking even those risks to invest? So, it's certain things that we have to do, and I hear my daughter at the door right now. Certain things you have to do in order to be mindful with yourself, but also be mindful with your money. And I think that's one of the key topics that we discuss and really, you know, put that in there with our parents, but also with the kids. The way you handle it and the way you're mindful with it is the way it's going to work for you.
Wonderful. And I think you're so right that money is almost like its own living thing. And you mentioned there a little bit that like it kind of gets passed down from your parents, and that there's like different people have maybe approaches to it, and maybe they don't realize, right? Right. Like maybe there's
Hmm.
like you said, the fast approach, like people like gamble or do illegal things or pursue the lottery tickets. And then there's even like the kind of the other misstep where maybe you earn money, but you hoard it, or you don't hang on to it. And there's all these ways that we can go wrong. And so as far as like teaching your daughter and your kids about like the way to handle money and grow money, is there maybe like one or two things that kids need to know these days, just as far as kind of just breaking the bad habits that have been passed down?
I feel like one of the main things that we should be teaching our kids. Hold on, my love. I'll be right there. One of the main things we have to teach our kids with is pretty much just being aware of how they're utilizing their money. How are they really investing in their money? But then also being smart with it. So if they want to go, and a lot of these kids want to work and do like amazing things with their entrepreneurial mind, then that's great. But then now, are we saving it? Are we taking like that 30% to save? Are we taking that 30% to invest in? But are you also treating yourself too? Because you have to show that you put that work in to get it. How are you treating yourself with it as well? So you can go have like maybe that nice toy that you want to get, or, something that you want to just make yourself feel good. That way you have that balance. You're doing all of the above, but then you're able to do things that you love to do with your money too.
Wonderful. And so what you're saying is that we need to kind of take these actions that keep the money making sustainable, because if you earn it and you don't spend it, or you spend all of it, then that's not really a good recipe for moving forward consistently. And you're saying that a good solution is to figure out what that pie chart is, right? Figure out what amount is
Hmm.
to save, what amount is to reinvest, and what amount is to treat yourself. And something that blew my mind maybe just a few years ago, it was so simple, but I couldn't believe I didn't like come to this conclusion before, was this whole idea of like, if you don't make decisions like you mentioned, if you don't kind of mindfully make a budget or tell your money where to go, then it will just be chaos and it will just always evaporate. And so I was like, oh my gosh, the reason why the money went out as fast as it came in was because I didn't have a budget.
Hmm.
And it's such a simple thing, but so few of us do it. And so, it's kind of speaking of the problems or the things that people don't do when you do your coaching of various kinds with various people. Do you see like a number one problem these days? Is there like a common thread of just like everyone does this wrong?
I feel like the common thread that I see is them doubting themselves. That imposter syndrome is a very, very prevalent thing. They have these amazing ideas, but then it's that imposter syndrome that kicks in, and they're not, acting on their ideas, or they're second guessing themselves, and then letting the naysayers too come into their mind and like really just, put them down on what they may feel may be something that could be great for them. And I feel like, in order to combat that, they always say when you have your idea, and especially if it's in that very beginning phase, it's better to protect that idea so that way you can really build it and grow it and nurture it before you express it with everybody. So that way no one can come in and be like, hey, that's not going to work. Because once you hear that the first time, then that self-talk starts to kick in and it's like, maybe this won't work and maybe I should stop doing it. And it's never about not doing it. If this is your passion, this is what you want to do, this is what you love to do, definitely go for it. But at the same time, build on it, hone on it. You have to master that skill too. So why not just keep going and putting forth your best foot? So I think that's one of the major things that I see as a common thread.
And I agree with you that it's a common problem, and I find that to be helpful advice from you, where we all have the self-doubt, and some of it is the generational curse, and some of it is just the people that we surround ourselves with. And sometimes that's just what led us to this point, right? We have this family and this friends, and it's really drastic and painful to maybe like throw out all your friends. Maybe we can't do that. But on the other hand, if we kind of share too early, then it's kind of like having a little newborn, and you don't want to let them out in the world too soon, right? You want to grow it and have
Right.
maybe a proof of concept and have some progress. So that way, when it does come time to share with your friends and family, and they might say, oh, well, that's too scary, or it won't work because of this, you can already have a small amount of proof in your back pocket and say, well, I did do this and I did get these deals and I did have this number of sales or this success or this amount of money, or I've already taken these steps. So it's like now they don't have really the ammunition to kill your idea before it grows too big and kind of you get some progress and traction. And so this is wonderful to think about. This as far as a lot of it's common sense, and some of it is things that we maybe haven't heard in a while and need, but also just if it's so simple, why don't we take action and just go ahead and do it? And I think the answer is sometimes we just need to listen to better people, right? Such as yourself, and kind of actually pursue you as a coach instead of just relying on maybe friends and family who like for they maybe have good intentions, but they have their own sort of agenda, right? They want to protect you and keep you safe and all those things. And when we're entrepreneurs, you and I both know like risk is good, and you don't always want to be safe because that just keeps you stuck in where you are. And so along those lines, if they're listening to our podcast because they want more, they want better, they want some amazing results. And so as far as what you provide, you have the book and the website and the coaching. Can you kind of give us the sales pitch? Like if someone should contact you, how do they know if they're a good fit for what you do? And if they are, what's the offer? What's the next step?
I mean, well, the offer is if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, you want to sit here and put an idea from the concept to now bringing it to fruition, even if it's something on a personal level, then that's the goals that you want to attain and the goals that you have in your mind that you want to bring down and actually put forth into this world. It's definitely possible. But if you need that mentor, you need that guide, you need that coach, then you can always get in contact with me. I'm one person that can sit here and help you push forward with everything that you have to do, but then also really invest in your well-being as well. And that's the main part. So I have an 8-week course, transformational course. You can always contact me for either the business person or the mom behind the business. We talk about the whole concept of self, but then also your business and your goals. Hold on, my love, 1 second. And then I see you got the key. And then outside of that, I have that 8-week program. You can always put me on for a retainer as well. And I'm here to help you guide from point A to point B to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. You can book on my site for a discovery call and let's sit down and talk. I'm always available.
Fantastic. You're always available, even with juggling the parenting, right? Where they sometimes are like, oh,
Yes.
can I please come in and visit? And we can promise to the little girl that it will be done in just a few seconds. We're just wrapping up our podcast here, but having fun while we do it. And it's like we're kind of showing your personality, right? And so you have this
Mm-hmm.
8-week transformative course where You kind of help people to get those aspects of, they call it the life wheel, right? All the different parts of their life that maybe need help to get things on track, to get things on their way, because life just gets more complex as we get older, right? We have the parenting, we have more responsibilities. It very rarely gets simpler, and so we kind of need to strengthen the muscle, and we need to get that outside help from someone like you. And so if someone wants to look into these things, the 8-week transformative course, the discovery call, is thesoundofbusiness.org the place to go?
Yes, it is. You can go right to the services tab and you'll see the two options right there available. Once you say book a discovery call, it's going to immediately send you out a nice little informational. You can pick the date and time that fits best for you. And then we can add on those extra questions of what you may be struggling with, what it is that you want help with. And let's, see how we can fit. It's all about making sure that your unique needs are being met, and I'm able to help you to the best of my capacity.
Lovely. So it's not just I've got this hammer, I'll hit any nail. It's, are we a good fit? And then I also want to make sure that we touch on the book really quickly. So tell us about this amazing book you have as well.
So the sound of business, seeing entrepreneurship through hip hop, it came from my master's course. And pretty much I was told to make a capstone course on what I learned, but what I have applied. And instead of doing the cookie cutter book on just business, I decided to infuse it with the hip hop culture. Hip hop culture is a big part of me. So I wanted to infuse it there because hip hop culture also is big in the business world, from tech to the liquors to the clothing, even the business itself of being an entrepreneur and having your own brand as an artist. And in that book, it talks about leadership, what leadership tools and what leadership style may work best for you. For me, it's the transformational, of course. I want to see everyone grow. Then we also have the importance of making sure that your internal and external customers are taken care of, and making sure that also the occupational health of everybody is secure too. So that's making sure that self-care is big as well. And you have that balance between work and life. We're in a new day and age where everyone is more accessible with the devices, but sometimes the devices have to get closed down so that way you can definitely balance everything outside of the screen and everything outside of the phone. So that book has it all. And coming soon, I'm going to have workbooks to go along with it too. So look forward to that in like Q2 of 2024.
Well, fantastic. So even with all the parenting and the business building and the coaching, you still find time to teach these sorts of things. And you're so right. I mean, even looking at the cover, like, Jay-Z and Biggie Smalls and Tupac and all of them, you always hear like these like business lessons. So there's so many problems to be solved, right? Even those things you listed, there's just like, it can be such a chaotic mess in our mind. But if we have kind of a start to finish book to help us kind of sort and structure these things, then it can make the process, maybe it's still difficult, but a lot easier. And you don't have to go it alone because there's someone like you who has been there and done that and has seen all the problems and can help us, guide us to where we want to go. And so the book is called The Sound of Business, Seeing Entrepreneurship Through Hip-Hop, and the website is thesoundofbusiness.org. And as we wrap up our conversation here, Tori, I always like to put my guests on the spot in these final seconds and ask about a quote or lesson that has really helped them. And so knowing hip hop and being kind of like lyrically kind of developed, and you're well read and you teach and have a lot to say, what comes to mind to you as far as a quote or a lesson that can really help us today?
A quote or lesson that I live by and I stand by is just be authentically you. You can always sit here and progress by being yourself. Your audience is meant to be reached and they're there for you as well. You don't have to chase the masses, but your audience is there. So be authentically you, put your best foot forward, and never give up on your dream because, the sky's the limit.
Motivating and inspiring. Be authentically you, embrace those imperfections and those things that maybe sometimes don't fit together. They can create the uniqueness. And so the way to find your uniqueness and be authentically you and achieve success and all those other things, the place for you to go right now is thesoundofbusiness.com or .org, sorry, thesoundofbusiness.org. So Dr. Tori Ellis, it's been wonderful speaking with you, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for your amazing platform. I had a great time, and I'm sure my daughter did too.
Yes, hearing from the cheap seats.